Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this video we're looking at my newest custom, which is another Jim Lee Magneto. Now this one is a little bit different than my previous ones, even though it was loosely based on those. As we were going, it just ended up changing and changing and changing in terms of how I actually put it together, and I'll go through that in a little bit more detail here. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, so if you've seen my previous Magneto customs, you know that I built it normally on the RARL body, the Toy Biz, was it Legendary Heroes or Comic Book Heroes or whatever that was, with the 2-pack with Conan, that guy. And then I just put on some new boots and some new hands with a little bit of sculpt. That was generally what I did. Then I used the XMC Magneto head with the Marvel Select helmet and the Marvel Select cape. And I started out doing that same thing for this guy, but then as I was going, I kind of didn't like the way it was, so I tried some new things, and that didn't quite work the way I wanted it to, so I tried some new things, and way too long after, I ended up with this, which I'm very happy with. So the Jim Lee Magneto is particularly muscular. He had big thighs and a big chest and big arms, and so that's why I really like using the raw body. He's got a great sculpt, and I still used his upper body for the torso and for the upper arms. And then I just didn't like the way the lower arms were. They were really skinny and kind of too long, so I used the lower arms from Cottonmouth, actually, and then I just re-sculpted them to have the bands or the gloves, straps, or whatever you want to call those. I sculpted those on there, and then I used the same hands. I just sanded down the fingertips to make it look like he just had regular gloves on instead of points. And then normally what I do is I have to just fill in, because Rawl has a gap in his waist, so I have to put on the Magneto belt anyway, so I just sculpt over that and I fill in the gap. This time, long story short, is I ended up using a different lower body altogether. So what I did was I did add the belt in there, so the waist twist is still in there above that purple belt, but for the crotch and upper thighs, or upper legs, the thighs, it's actually the Cottonmouth also, with slight modification to make it work. And then for the lower legs, I took Whirlwind and cut off I took his lower legs from the knees down, and I sanded off his boots and everything, and I resculpted the legs underneath, and then I sculpted the straps on top of those boots also. So that gives him a little bit more musculature, a little bit better proportions overall. And then I still did use the Marvel Select Magneto cape because I like it a whole bunch, and the Marvel Select Magneto helmet because it looks really good, and the XMC Magneto head, which obviously doesn't fit in that helmet. So I made the head fit in that helmet, and then I made the whole thing fit on the body. So the trick to this guy is getting the cape to connect. If you've ever made a custom figure, you know that capes don't really like to glue on very well. And even if they do end up sticking, every time you move the figure, you basically risk pulling the cape off. So using a little bit of customizing magic, I was able to connect the cape to this guy without it actually being connected. So it's going to sit in place perfectly, but it's not actually connected, so it can't pull off, it can't tear, and it'll move freely as he needs it to when he's posing it or anything. So if he wants to raise an arm, for instance, the cape will just move a little bit with it rather than putting any stress on glue or whatever other options you use. I can't go into too much detail about how I did that, because I made that kind of a special point in one of my Patreon videos where I actually show how I make every figure in detail. So I can't give too much detail on that, but I used a little bit of a trick to connect that thing, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. It's the first time I've done it, and it worked nicely. So you're probably wondering about the paint job. Well, I gotta tell you, the red is not anywhere near as shiny as it looks. With all these harsh lights, for some reason, the red looks extra shiny, but it's not. It's more of a matte borderline satin finish, and then the purple, like this main purple, the duller purple, is also that kind of finish, and that's the same thing for the cape and the neck. And then the gloves, boots, belts, and collar are all a pearlescent purple that's a little bit more saturated and pearlescent, which means it's metallic and has like a clear coat built into it, so it gives it a little bit of an extra lustrous finish, which I thought was cool for Magneto. Makes him look kind of nice. And then for the helmet, that's actually the same red as the body, but it's got a little bit of gloss on top of it to give it just a little bit of an extra finish, and it changes the actual look of the red also. so I did that. And then of course the purple on the helmet is the same as everywhere else. And then I painted the face up to have some nice shading and some skin tones. The lips are in there. There's, like I said, shading for all the cracks and things. And then his eyes, the customer left it up to me if I wanted pupils or solid white eyes, which I am a big fan of, so I went with solid white eyes, and I think it looks pretty cool. So that's it. That's my current Magneto. It doesn't seem like it was a whole bunch of work, but we've gone through 3 different upper legs and 2 different lower legs and some other things that I kept trying different things to make it as good as I could, and this is why it took so long, and that's why you guys haven't seen some stuff in a while. And I have like 3 or 4 other projects that are basically doing the same thing. So more customs are coming down the pike very soon, so stick around for that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos coming out every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. And make sure you turn on notifications so you can see when those videos comes out. Make sure you give it a thumbs up if you like the video. And in the meantime, keep collecting.